Anitra, I'm so excited to have you here today. Welcome from Seattle, where I know you've had some snow, but I'm
Yes.
glad to have you here with us. And I'm in warm San Francisco. Well, it's 50s, but it's certainly warmer than the rest of the country.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm
Thanks for
excited to
Go ahead.
I'm excited about our topic today, prosperity and abundance and spontaneity. Oh yeah, and sustainability too.
That's
So
how we roll.
I love having conversations with you about this topic. So why don't you tell us first a bit about you and your work? And I know at the end you're going to talk to us about how people can learn more about you and work with you if they so choose.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. So first, thankfully, our snow has dissipated, should be almost completely gone. Unfortunately, that's not the case in the southern states. So we definitely want to send energy, love, support, and whatever we can to anyone who is still dealing with the the weather situation, the power outages, and all of that. So I needed to say that because there's people
Mm-hmm.
there that really need so much support. Thankfully,
Yeah.
we didn't have anything nearly that severe, just a couple of 6 inches, which once a year, that's cool, and we're good. We move on. So about me, I am a transcension and transcension coach, but I'm actually leaning more to transcension guide and intuitive healer. So a lot of my work is based in healing. I have a background in massage therapy. I'm a Reiki master. I teach, um, while I also do Reiki healings, I also teach that. And I also will help people in my transition guidance in how to live their best life and what their next best step is in whatever struggles or challenges they're having. So that can be how old wounds, childhood wounds, trauma, and whatnot throughout life are holding people back from what they want to bring into the world to be able to live best in their gifts and talents and experiences, and what they're meant to bring into the world so that we can create a healthier world, a more equitable, inclusive, just, and um, sustainable world that's based in the celebration of diversity of all people, of all um, living things, and how we work together, live together in this beautiful world and universe.
Great. So you told us about you and how your work directly relates to prosperity and abundance and sustainability. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what sustainability means to you with regards to prosperity and abundance, and what you mean when you say life is abundance?
Mm.
Mhm.
That one's so juicy and meaty. So, um, I think if I just start in with what life is abundance, when we look at nature, because a lot of times as humans, we have been taught to believe that we are separate from nature, that how we live our lives is something different than the natural law of the way nature unfolds. When we look at um, the seed of a flower, seed of a plant, it doesn't have to convince itself to grow. It doesn't have to imagine it being, an oak tree. It doesn't have to imagine being the rose bush. It doesn't have to, can I make it as? It simply does what it's meant to do. And we have this beautiful gift of the mind that allows us to see and think and engage with each other in dynamic ways that other pieces of nature be it flora, fauna, all the things, don't exactly. I mean, they do vibrationally. There's still communication in all the ways. But it also can be a hindrance in that we sometimes think too much or have doubts of what we can be, should be, what not, by comparing ourselves to the person next to us. One tree sapling to another tree sapling does not go, am I growing faster or fast enough? How do I compare to this other one? They both go, the ground is fertile, the sun is giving me what I need, there's the CO2 I need to flourish, and I'm going to do what I need to do. So life is abundant is literally that life continues and moves forward. Our purpose, even as humans, is to flourish and expand. Every generation comes in to expand on the generation previously. That is in order to heal and to learn from the lessons before and try to do better. And with that means where there have been mistakes in the past, where there have been faults in thinking, in policy and logic, and all the different ways that humans can be imperfect in practice, in the words we say and the things we do, we get to do better the next time. And every generation comes in my understanding and the way I view the world, with more awareness, more understanding, more evolved to be able to handle the fast changing things. This time is speeding up. And so being able to go, okay, I'm taking what I have learned, what I came in to do in kind of a relay race way of doing it, and going, and I'm going to take it the next step. The way we look at, I'm a geology geek. I love dinosaurs. I love learning about all things that existed in that time and how they have evolved even from that time. The trees, the plants, the grasses, and how things have flourished, and the overall evolution of things, and how there has been refinement in that, and the flourishing of that. And this is really what the purpose of our lived experiences are. And we also get to look at the big picture. We get to look at the history. We get to look at the evolution. This is the gift that humans have, the evolution that has come before. And we also get to be fully present in the now moment and be able to make choices from that, with that knowledge and with the divine inspiration of what we're to be. So yeah, that's what it means to me.
I love that. And I like your last sentence, to be in the now moment, and how that is really what sustainability is really about. I want to just talk a little bit about Sustainability Pathways, who's hosting Anitra today. One of our guidelines is the 3 Ps of sustainability: people, planet, prosperity. So we're always looking at sustainability from a very broad perspective. And Anitra is bringing us today the prosperity part, which is how this all fits together. So I love how you've connected to sustainability. Could you talk a little bit about this thing we're always talking about, that you are in particular, about being perfectly imperfect?
Yes. So I believe, my belief is rooted in that we already are divine. We are part of a collective. However that language looks to you, however that is shaped by any faith, religion, cultural, foundational pieces, the languaging can be very different. Though one of the threads that I found in my studies of, the cross between, Western, my Western upbringing, and learning about Eastern modalities in healing, that a lot of the fundamental tenets actually are pretty universal. For example, the golden rule. and other pieces that really just transcend all of the different languages, all of the different structures, all over the world. And we are part of a human collective. This goes back to being part of nature. We're part of a human collective. It's also part of this global collective. And it is, from my understanding, divine. It is something that is made of something greater than us. And while also the collective of us together. So there's the individual experience, the collective experience, and then the divine. And in that, as a individual human, I am imperfect. I will make mistakes. I will be late. I will have things that don't always happen the way that they are anticipated. And I am already divine because I am part of a system that already is. I am part of a collective that is divine because there's a purpose for us to be here. And again, going back to that purpose is the evolution and expansion. Without getting too woo-woo, it is for us, for God to understand what God is through the experience of being separate. So it is our individual separate experiences that then add to the collective experiences that add to the deeper understanding from the divine set. So you're muted, sweetheart.
Okay. You help me understand a little bit more when I hear the word perfect. It's like, yes, we are divine, but the fact that we're human is we're going to be imperfect. I mean, that's the state of what it is. And to accept that really is helpful when little weird things happen. You say, oh, all right, I'm not perfect yet. I'm still alive. I'm still here. So thank you for that. I have another question for you about how the interplay of release and trust and allowance and acceptance and receiving.
Right.
Take it, Anitra.
The 5 tenets that I understand as what abundance and manifesting require, and how we move through the world. So also to touch back on one other thing around being imperfect is that it is through the imperfections that we learn. It is through making mistakes that we learn and grow. It is through trial and error that we find a better way. So that's part of the evolution piece, the evolution of the human, the collective, and just overall. So I just wanted to kind of wrap that up real quick.
Great, thank you for that.
So trusting, allowing, accepting, release and receive. I did them out of order, so that's how I keep it straight in my head. So release is for me typically one of the first ones that I talk about, or that we usually go through, because it is in the release of something that is not working, something that is no longer of service to us, which could be in the world. In the world could be the release of, let's say, a pen. Okay, this pen no longer functions, no longer works. It's not something that I want or need. I can either, if it's something that can be reused by somebody else, give it to somebody else and they can repurpose it. I can recycle where it can be recycled, and I can, or it will be passed on through the waste system, so on and so forth. In the releasing of that opens a space for something new to come in. I will need a new pen. I will need a new writing utensil, or I will use what I currently have already. So with that, the release makes room for what is next to come in. It opens up space. So when we release, we are letting go either of thoughts, of material things, whatnot, in order to create more space. Allowing is is really about being in the now moment and allowing an unfolding of things. It is not trying to push or pull or force. It is being in the movement of the world. And that can, for some people, be very difficult, and for other people, they're just able to do that with ease. So each of these components work together and are integrated into each other in different ways, especially depending on the topic that we're discussing. Allowing also is something that came up in a conversation around grief about a couple weeks ago, that around allowing versus accepting. In the grief process, for example, accepting the loss can be difficult. Allowing it is something we know just has to be, trying to resist or fight against it. The acceptance of it is, I understand this has occurred. This is a thing that is. We don't have to like it. We don't have to celebrate it, but at least being in the full awareness of, okay, this is a thing that did occur. That allows for greater healing by being able to accept a thing even if we don't like it. The allowing, accepting, the trusting is trusting that with the allowing, with the acceptance, that there is a purpose, there is meaning behind it. We may not always see it in the moment, and a lot of times we don't. And even with the releasing, we have to trust that something greater is going to come, that what is needed in that space will be available. And that's where we then also lean into the receiving, the being willing to receive. And that also can be, the asking for what is needed. So that is the opening. That's also part of trust. So again, all of these kind of swirl and dance with each other. And these are all components that I believe are part of healing, are part of sustainability, to keep things moving and flowing, and keep the world and our experience of it and our lived experiences in harmony. And that's where I really center, is how not everything's going to be in proper balance and exactly the same. And there has to be this amount of release and this amount of trust. And it's not a perfect equation, but it's a harmony of
all the components
working together.
Yeah, that is really beautiful. The 5 tenets. And I love how you've kind of woven them all together in a very coherent way. And it's going to be very helpful. Maybe we can put a little text in the comments to repeat those and a couple of keywords for each one of them, to kind of, because this is a really valuable tool. Thank you. Thank you, Anitra.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, I think that's a wrap for our conversation. I really love it, and looking forward to people being able to catch us on the replay. Reiki just had to leave, and she'll catch the replay. Why don't you now tell us a little bit more about how we can continue to work with you? I know you have a Facebook group, and you mentioned that you have a discount that you're running this month or this week or whatever.
I do. This month, yes. For the month of February, I am running a 50% off on my VIP release and reframe. It's a 2-hour session, just an intensive session of taking a challenge or a struggle or, a certain area and really digging to the heart of it and being able to release what needs to be released, create space and healing, and then reframing patterns, language, and whatever other tools are needed to be able to move forward through that and create new practices. So that's a beautiful thing. I love doing my work, and it's a powerful 2 hours. And so 50% off, that makes it $350. And then in addition, I have my free Facebook group, which is Wholehearted Living and Unconditional Loving. We have daily brags, healthy brags and celebration. We have daily gratitude. And it is a space for anyone who wants to ask questions, practice their healing, and finding a space where they can practice, excuse me, full expression of self, practice asking for support and help and receiving that, and just being in a community of love and support. So I also have some free trainings there. I'm going to be doing some more lives in there myself upcoming. That I have trainings on the release, trust, allowing and accepting, and receiving already in there. And I will be doing some more because every time we move through new things, new parts and components come up, and it's a great place to really just kind of dig in.
That sounds so exciting. And I want to just say how much I've enjoyed your Facebook group. I always find it really personal and supportive and loving, and I can be vulnerable there, and I can learn a lot. And I'm looking forward to going and seeing some more of your trainings.
Oh, beautiful.
So thank you for that. And I personally have enjoyed your work, and I know that this 2-hour program that you have together is going to be valuable for other people, because I know how valuable working with you has been. So thank you, Anitra.
You so much. I love working with you. You are so amazing.
So I'm going to end the program, and we'll chat with you later. Why don't we get together on Zoom in just a couple of minutes? But I'll end this here. Thank you, dear.
Sounds good. Love you.
See you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.